Amonton was in the view that the surface roughness is only the friction is only due to surface roughness of the two interacting surfaces. But whereas Disallower was of the opinion that whatever the Amonton has told, that is the friction is due to surface roughness, is not true. He described that the frictional effects are due to the area of adhesion within the contact zone. Means what? When two bodies are in contacting each other, wherever the contact points are there will be adhesion between the two areas. So when there is a adhesion, due to that adhesion, there will be a friction. So this was the view of Desaguliers. But friction is practically independent of area. So his theory was criticized. We know that friction is independent of area. So Desaguliers theory is also criticized. But up to some extent, Desaguliers theory is correct because there will be adhesion, which we will be discussing later in the forthcoming topics. So next, Coulomb. Coulomb considered the possibility of adhesion as one of the significant contributor. So Coulomb considered that the possibility of adhesion as one of the significant contributor, but stressed on the interlocking of the asperities of the two surfaces. So Coulomb told that when two surfaces asperities are there, means what? There will be waviness on both the surfaces, on upper surface and also on lower surface, like this. See here. These are called surface asperities. So actually, when you see with your naked eyes, you can see that the surface is very, very smooth. But when we observe microscopically, even if a very smooth surface looks like this. Okay? So when on both sides, this is one surface and this is one surface. So there will be, so these projected area are called crest and these areas are called trough. So and these irregularities, surface irregularities are called as surface asperities. So Coulomb was of the opinion that when these two bodies are moving on each other, there will be interlocking. For example, see here there is a trough, no? And here there is a projected part. So this projected part may get stuck in this pit, and this projected part may get stuck in this pit, and this projected part may get stuck in this pit. Like this, there will be interlocking of the asperities, and due to that interlocking, it offers resistance towards the sliding motion. So that is what we call it as friction. This was the opinion of the Coulomb. Yeah. See here. Coulomb considered the possibility of adhesion as one of the significant contributors. But he mostly stressed on, means he majorly considered that the interlocking of the asperities between the two surfaces is the major cause for friction. This was the opinion of Coulomb. Then later, Leslie criticized this with the argument that if the friction is due to solely overcoming gravity, then there can be no frictional effect on an average, as there is no net increase in elevation of the moving body because of hills and valleys. So he told that there are both hills and valleys, means there is a projected part also and there is a trough also on the surface. Then when there is interlocking, then in some areas on the surface, there may be sliding also because of that hilly gradient. It may slide and there may be less friction. Like this was the view of Leslie. Then Leonhard Euler also believed in the model of rigid interlocking of asperities of the two surfaces. Means Leonhard Euler also was of the opinion as that of the Coulomb. That is, the friction is due to interlocking of asperities of the two surfaces. He introduced the use of symbol mu. Mu is, you know that it is a coefficient of friction. No? For the coefficient of friction, he showed that if the asperities are assumed to be triangular and of slope theta, then mu is equal to tan theta. So he showed that with mathematical expression, he showed that the coefficient of friction mu is equal to tan theta, if theta is the slope of the surface on which it is sliding. These are the different theories or different opinions of different scientists about the friction. But however, with the present understanding of the geometry of surfaces, the friction force is due to interactions between the opposing asperities of the two surfaces. So with the present understanding of the geometry, the friction force is actually due to interaction between the opposing asperities. When two asperities come in contact with each other, there will be interaction between them, there will be adhesion between them, and due to that adhesion there is a friction. In these interactions, energy is dissipated and is equal to the product of the friction force and the sliding velocity. The asperity interactions may be of two types: adhesion and deformation. Here the interaction of the asperities are of two types. One is adhesion, means friction may be due to either adhesion or it may be due to either deformation, or it may be combination of both adhesion and deformation. What is adhesion? Let us study. Okay, so let us consider these two surfaces. When these two surfaces come in contact with each other, first in the beginning what happens? These asperities will come in contact now, because here there is a valley is there on both sides. So due to that, these two areas will never contact each other. Only the projected part is here, there is a projected part, and here there is a projected part. Due to that, what happens? There will be this interaction between this asperity with this asperity, like this. Okay, and the intimate contact occurs. So between these two, there will be very intimate contact, very close contact occurs between those two asperities of the peaks. So at the peaks only, not at the valleys, but at the peaks only, there will be contact between the two surfaces. And when there is a contact between the two surfaces, so wait, hold for a minute. Yes. Okay. So when there is a contact between the two asperities, what happens? Due to the load. So see here that this asperity, this surface is coming in close contact with this surface. So when they come in close contact with these asperities at peaks, there what happens? Peaks means here you can see that the area is, in the beginning, the area is very, very small. The area of contact, see here. It's a very small area of contact is there in the beginning. Here also is this, only this much area of contact is there. Here also only this much area of contact is there. Here this much, means what? At the peaks in the beginning, there will be very small area of contact exists between the two peaks of the surface. Then later what happens? Because of the load, these peaks will deform and they get flattened. See here, this peak will deform because of the load. They get flattened, and when they get flattened, they will match each other. Two surfaces will match each other, and two surface gets adhesive bonding between each other. They get adhered with each other. So there will be adhesion between the two surfaces at this point. See here. Here the area goes on increasing. In the beginning, contact area was very small, but later area goes on increasing. So this is called as growth of the area or junction growth. So when the area goes on increasing, there will be more and more intimate contact between the two surfaces. And when there is more intimate contact between the two surfaces get adhesed, means the two surfaces get sticked to each other in a very perfect manner. And when the two surfaces are sticked to each other, and when you want to slide one surface, it will offer the resistance for sliding, and that is what we call it as friction. So this was the concept of adhesion. Yeah. And the asperity interaction, first type is adhesion and second type is deformation. See, this is the second type of asperity interaction. Means when two asperities on the two separate surfaces interact with each other or come in contact with each other, what are the things that is happening? First one is adhesion is happening, and due to adhesion there will be sticking of the two surfaces, and when those two surfaces gets welded to each other or stick to each other, then they offer resistance against sliding, and that is what we call it as this friction. And in the second type, that is deformation. In the deformation also, here in the absence of adhesion, means when there is no adhesion at all, then what happens? The frictional resistance may be due to the deformation of the material and its displacement during relative motion. Means what? In the absence of adhesion, means when there is no adhesion between the two peaks of the surfaces, at that time there will be deformation. Means what? When the two surfaces come in contact with each other, one will be harder surface and other one will be softer surface relative to each other. Okay, suppose the steel is sliding on, say, iron or aluminum, then what happens? Steel is the harder surface, whereas aluminum is the softer surface. Due to that, what happens? The steel, the asperities on the steel will put scratch on the aluminum. Means the asperities on the harder surface will put scratch on the lower surface, and there may be plowing of the softer surface. Plowing means, you know, in the field they do plowing, no? Plowing means, for example, ನೇಗ್ಲ ಹೊಡಿದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ? So this is whatever that implement is there, no, what they are using, it is a metal, it is a steel implement, so it is a harder surface, whereas the surface of this land, which is a mud, it is a softer surface. Due to that, what happens? When you move that one, so it will create scratches on that land. So the same thing happens here also. When one surface slides on other surface, there will be scratches and there will be detachment of small particles of the softer surface. Those are called as wear debris or wear particles. Those wear particles, what they do is they will get stuck between the two surfaces. Okay? So here you can see that this is called as two-body abrasion. In the two-body abrasion means there will be one hard surface and the one will be a soft surface. The asperities on the hard surface will go on plowing the soft surface, means will go on putting the scratch on the soft surface when they are slided against each other. So this is called as two-body intrusion or two-body sliding. Whereas in three-body sliding or three-body intrusion, here you can see that any foreign particle may be there in between the two surfaces, or there may be wear debris. When softer surface is plowed, small particles of the soft surface may get stuck between each other, and those wear particles will get embedded between the two surfaces, and when there is a sliding of the two surfaces, those wear particle will put scratches on the two surfaces, and there will be deformation of the surface. So this is, and due to that deformation, there will be energy will be released and there will be friction will be generated. So this is the about deformation. Means friction is either due to adhesion or due to deformation, or it may be due to the combination of both adhesion and deformation. So this is called two-body abrasion and this is called three-body abrasion. Three-body means this is one surface, this is another surface, and one more particle is there in between them. Okay? So this is called as three-body abrasion. Is it clear? Any doubts till now? Okay, then let us move on to the next topic, that is friction theories. So there are different theories are evolved to understand friction or how to calculate friction or how to express the friction mathematically. So there are so many theories are written. So first one is Bowden and Tabor simple adhesion theory. So here it has already been discussed that when two surfaces are loaded, the intimate contacts occurs at the peaks of the asperities, no, and the real area of contact is very less compared to the nominal area. See here, suppose these two surfaces are contacting each other. Let us move on here. Okay, when these two surfaces are contacting each other, suppose this surface is having a length is equal to L and width is equal to W, then surface area of contact, how you will find out? L into W. This is the surface area of contact. But actual surface area of contact is, theoretically it is length into width, breadth. But whereas actually speaking, only asperities or peaks will contact each other. So here in this region there is no contact. This area there is no contact. So this area has to be subtracted. So due to that, what happens? The actual area of contact is very, very less compared to the nominal or theoretical area of contact. Okay. Then what happens? The pressure at the point of actual contact is so high because pressure is equal to what? Force by area. Okay. So pressure is equal to force by area, and when the pressure area decreases, then what happens to the pressure? Pressure increases, no? Pressure is inversely proportional to area and directly proportional to force. Okay. Then due to that, what happens? Pressure at the point of actual contact or real contact is so high that the asperity tip of the softer material deform plastically, and the plastic flow causes the total contact area to grow. So here what is happening in Bowden and Tabor simple adhesion theory? It is the adhesion theory only. So in the adhesion theory, what happens? Here only when you calculate the theoretical area of contact, it is length into breadth. Suppose this is length, and in this direction, suppose there is a breadth in the perpendicular direction of the screen. Then length into breadth is the area of theoretical area of contact or nominal area of contact. So pressure is, nominal pressure is force by area. What is force acting on this one? Divided by the area of contact, that is length into breadth. But actual area of contact is very, very low. See here, a small area is contacting here. So due to this, what happens? Pressure at these points will be very, very high. And due to this high pressure, what happens? There is a yielding of the material. Means what? These peaks are there, no? They gets flattened. Peak gets flattened, and there will be intimate contact between the two surfaces. Here, the softer material will deform more. For example, suppose this lower one is the softer material. This will be deforming more compared to top surface. Okay. And due to that, what happens? There is a plastic deformation, and the plastic flow causes the total contact area to grow. See here the contact area is very small, but whereas here the contact area is larger, no? So here what happens? The contact area goes on growing. This growth of contact area takes place by two means. Okay, this growth of contact area takes place by two means. They are, first one, by the growth of individual contact spots and by initiation of new contact points. So here what happens in the beginning? Suppose this is very small, this peak is small. Then when these peaks are contacting, this peak may not be in contact with each other. But when this deforms and it becomes flat, then what happens? This will also come in contact with each other. Like this, new contacts are established when there is deformation. Then this growth of contact area takes place by two means. That is, one by growth of individual contact spots, and then by initiation of new contact points. Okay. the area goes on increasing. The process continues until the total real area of contact is sufficient to support the load. Means how much it will deform? When this area of contact is sufficient to withstand the load acting on this surface, then it will stop. Then for an elastic plastic material, the normal load W may be expressed as for an elastic plastic material, the normal load W may be expressed as W is equal to A into P naught, where A is the actual area of contact or real area of contact, and PO is the yield pressure of soft material, and it is very close to hardness H. Yield strength. So P naught is the yield strength or yield pressure of the softer material. In two surfaces, whichever is the softer material, for that we will take the yield pressure or yield point, and we will be calculating the hardness of that combination of surfaces. Hence, this load W can be expressed as W is equal to area into pressure. You know that pressure is equal to load by area. So load is equal to area into pressure. When A is the real area of contact and P naught is the yield pressure of softer material, and it is very close to the hardness H, capital H. This P naught is nothing but capital H. They have come just for. As the plastic deformation becomes severe, the asperity junction gets cold welded. So here what happens? These two asperities gets cold welded to each other. They gets cold welded to each other. And when they gets welded to each other, the adhesion occurs. And when you want to slide the two members on them, there what happens? It will causes resistance to that sliding. That is what we call it as friction. Hence, we can write this P naught, that is the pressure, yield pressure of the softer material is very close to the hardness H of the joint, capital H of the joint. So then load W will be equal to area into capital H. As the plastic deformation becomes severe, the asperity junctions get cold welded. You hear me? You don't find. As the plastic deformation becomes severe, the asperities junctions gets cold welded. So wherever the two asperities are coming in contact with each other, they will get cold welded, and there will be a strong adhesive bond between those two contacts. And due to that contact, what happens? The friction goes on increasing, and that is the actual cause of friction according to this Bowden and Tabor simple adhesion theory. Okay. Then the frictional force is given as F adhesion is equal to area into shear strength of the joint, where S is what? It is the shear strength of the joint. Okay. Thus, the coefficient of friction due to adhesion may be given as, you know that coefficient of friction is equal to what? Mu. F is equal to mu into W, no? So mu is equal to F by W. So mu adhesion means coefficient of friction due to adhesion, because I told that the friction may be due to two types. One is due to either adhesion or it may be due to deformation. So now we are studying about adhesion. So coefficient of friction due to adhesion is force of adhesion divided by the weight on the body, normal load on the body, where W is what? Normal load on the body. So you know that adhesive force is equal to shear strength of the softer material. I told that when the two materials are coming in contact with each other, if both the materials are same, that is if steel is sliding on steel, mild steel is sliding on mild steel, carbon steel is sliding on carbon steel, then no problem. This is S is the shear strength directly. But suppose when two different materials are sliding, for example, in the bearing, what happens? The shaft will be made of mild steel, whereas the bearing bush will be made of brass or bronze or gunmetal. Then the bearing bush is harder compared to the mild steel shaft. Then S is what? S is the shear strength of mild steel shaft. Okay? Shaft. Then for most material, this ratio, S by H ratio, is almost constant. Okay? So that constant of proportion, that constant we call it as coefficient of friction due to adhesion. Typical value for most metals is 0.2. Coefficient of friction for most of the metals is 0.2. Hence, this theory predicts a value of coefficient of friction as 0.2. This theory looks very attractive because of its simplicity. As it is very simple and just it relies only on adhesion theory, and calculation of coefficient of friction is also very straight and direct. Due to that, what happens? It is very simplest theory and it is more looks very attractive, but it has so many several limitations, or it suffers so many several inadequacies. What are those inadequacies or limitations? Let us learn that one. Those inadequacies are as follows. The first one is, the first inadequacy relates to the fact that the friction coefficient in this model does depend only on the properties of the softer material. Here, when you are calculating the coefficient of friction in from this theory, what we have taken? S is the shear strength of the softer material, and whereas H is what? Hardness of the softer material, or H is nothing but the normal load. Okay, so here we are considering only strength of the softer material. We are not considering only any strength of the harder material. But friction depends, we know that the friction depends on combination of the materials. That is why in the bearings, we'll be using mild steel shaft and brass or bronze bushes, because no doubt that mild steel is softer compared to brass or bronze, but the combination is such that the coefficient of friction between them will be lesser. So it does not depend only on the properties of softer material. It depends on the properties of both the materials, both harder and softer material. That is the first limitation of this theory. Then second one is, under normal atmospheric conditions, the actual values of friction coefficient for metal pairs are found normally to be in the order of 0.5 rather than 0.2 predicted by the theory. So here, when we experimentally determine the coefficient of friction for any two materials, the coefficient of friction for most of the metals is found to be of the order of 0.5. But according to this theory, it determines the coefficient of friction of only 0.2. This is the contradiction again. That is, the actual coefficient of friction is 0.5, which is determined experimentally, but whereas the coefficient of friction calculated based on this theory is only 0.2. Hence, this is the second limitation or inadequacy of this theory. Then third one is, the friction coefficients are seen to be much higher than that predicted by this theory, even more than unity. In some cases, what happens? The coefficient of friction is even more than unity for some combination of materials. But here, according to this theory, it is only 0.2. For example, in ultra high vacuum, means what? The coefficient of friction not only depends on the properties of the material, it also depends on atmospheric properties of the where the materials are kept. For example, suppose the two sliding members are kept in ultra high vacuum, then the coefficient of friction will be even higher than 1. But whereas suppose the two materials are kept in the common atmospheric condition, that is normal temperature pressure conditions, there the coefficient of friction is little lesser, that is about 0.5, which is calculated experimentally. So due to this, what happens? This theory has these three limitations. The first one is, it only considers the hardness of the softer material. The second one is the coefficient of friction calculated from this theory is only 0.2, whereas the coefficient of friction calculated experimentally is 0.5 in the normal atmospheric condition. And the third limitation is that the atmospheric pressure also, atmospheric condition also plays a major role or vital role in the deciding the coefficient of friction between the two materials. That is, in ultra vacuum, ultra high vacuum, if there is a high vacuum, then in that vacuum, if we slide the members, the coefficient of friction will be even higher than 1. Means we can conclude that the coefficient of friction does not depend only on softer material, or it does not depend only on the smoothness of the surface, or it does not depend only on the properties of the two materials which are coming in contact with each other. It also depends on the atmospheric condition where the materials are kept. Okay. In the simple adhesion theory of friction, the material is assumed to have a constant value of flow stress, but almost all metals strain harden to some extent, and this will tend to increase the value of S relative to that of H. Work hardening will therefore tend to increase mu adhesion. Okay. So here what happens in the beginning, when the two asperities are coming in contact and they will deform, in the beginning what happens, the asperities will deform more, but whereas later when the area goes on increasing, the deformation in the asperities also goes on decreasing because of strain hardening and work hardening. But this strain hardening and work hardening is not considered. It has considered only shear strength of the softer material in this theory. Due to that, the theory starts. Let's start now. It has this coefficient of hold for 1 minute.
Yes.
I'm using audio. So this is about Borden and Tabor simple adhesion theory. So in the next class, we'll be going through this next theory, that is modified adhesion theory. So whatever the drawbacks of the Borden and Tabor adhesion theories are there, those are addressed in the second theory, that is called as modified adhesion theory. Okay.